Only the best go 3 abreast.
It is showtime at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got 'em 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
Hello again. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tire, our favorite time of the week. We're talking sprint car racing. So glad that you joined us. Erin, Evernham, and Steve Post here, and we have a great program. And I still love the opening. With Johnny Gibson, Tony Bachhoven, Brian Herbert, Blake Anderson, and Bruce Ellis, bringing us in as they do each and every time the green flag flies. Gets us pumped up and ready to go. And Erin, pumped up because Brian Monteith, he had a huge win by by .029
yes,
of a
by
second.
A foot, they said.
Yeah, about a foot. I saw a picture of it. So we're going to talk to Brian a little bit later on the program. And one of our buddies, Doug Auld, he is the editor of Sprint Car and Midget Magazine. We will talk to Doug as well. So a great program for you, and we are glad you joined us. Time to dig right into the Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery hot topics. One of the hot topics this year, and we probably have talked about it since opening day of our show. Tony Stewart is back, and Tony Stewart is back in Victory Lane.
Yes, it was great to see him back in Victory Lane. I don't think it's a secret that he's kind of struggled this year a little bit more than maybe he thought he would. So to see him in Victory Lane and get that confidence boost was very cool.
I am sure, because he is getting ready to go dance with the Sharks because he's going to a Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour race, and he needs to be buttoned up this weekend. There's no time for error. When you hook into those guys, you need to be set to go. And I want to remind you, Thursday, Justin Henderson will join us on our preview podcast presented by Hefner Racing Products. So we'll talk more about that on Thursday on our preview podcast. Other hot topics, photo finish at Lincoln. We'll talk to Brian Monteith about this. The stories from Port, and Port can be one of those nights where it's fast. And the reality of dirt track racing, nights sometimes when it's fast, the racing may not be quite as good.
Yep.
Sounds like they had fast and good.
Both,
which is almost unheard of.
And Port Royal is a place where you can pull big sliders.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's high speed and a good race, you know it was exciting to watch.
And it was a heavyweight title fight because you had Doug Esch and Greg Hodnett. And so you're talking former champions in both cases. Yeah. Esch got the better of it, led the whole distance, but they said Hodnett was all over him all race long at high-speed Port. Not at dry, slicked up Port, but at high-speed Port.
And both of those drivers are known to not really leave much on the table.
They never leave anything on the table. They both were, I'm sure, tired out because they always are when they get to the end of the feature. The only difference is Doug was tired out on the front stretch, and Greg was probably at the truck figuring, what did I do? What more could I do? So, sounded like a good one there. Our buddy Johnny Herrera, he swept the Carlisle Tools ASCS Southwest Tour races in New Mexico, and Johnny's getting ready for some more national tour races. And finally, a Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery hot topic. The last 3 winners on the World of Outlaw Tour, David Gravel twice and Logan Schuchart once.
Yeah, we're switching things up now.
Wait a minute, what happened to that Schatz kid?
He was still like the top 5.
Yeah, I know he was. So Gravel is hot. There's no doubt about it. He is very, very strong. And how about that race at Hanford? First off, Corey Eliason blasted to the front of the field, got in trouble up in the lead. But Logan Schuchart, 19th to 1st with a last lap pass for the win.
Anytime you can come from 19th to 1st, if you can come from 10th to 1st or 3rd to 1st in the World of Outlaw race, you need to be proud. But 19th to 1st, that's incredible. Incredible
indeed. So good stuff on the World of Outlaw Tour. They're racing in Arizona this coming weekend. And there you have it. Those are your Classic Ink screen printing and embroidery hot topics. ClassicInkUSA.com. Hats, shirts, corporate events, racing teams, little league teams, church events, whatever you need. Check them out at www.classicinkusa.com. We need to step away because we're going to the edge, or we're talking to the edge anyhow. Brian Monteith, he joins us next.
Watch MRN's Winged Nation with Steve Post and Ashley Stremme on MAV TV, Saturdays at 9:30 and 12:30 Eastern.
Only the best go 3 abreast, and they're coming to a track near you in 2017. No matter where you're at, the American Sprint Car Series is near you. From the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, presented by the Mad TV Motorsports Network, to any of the 7 ASCS regional tours, there's over 150 nights of racing to choose from in 2017. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for updates. Listen live on RacingBoys.com and get the full rundown at ASCSRacing.com.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum's newest feature exhibit is our Salute to Champion Sammy Swindell, June 9th through October 15th, at the only museum in the world solely dedicated to sprint car racing, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa. Stop in and check out 8 of Sammy's original race cars and see his trophies, uniforms, and more as you learn about his outstanding career. The Salute to Champion Sammy Swindell is only this season at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Restore your vehicle's lost power by cleaning your entire fuel system with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Right now, buy 1 bottle, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Keep your engine clean and improve performance with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Buy 1, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Danny Holcraver, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Welcome back. Thank you, Danny. It is great to have you join us here, and great to talk with this guy, especially after a win, joining us fresh from victory lane at the fabulous Lincoln Speedway. They call him the Edge. Brian Monteith is on the line. Hello, Brian. Welcome back to Wing Nation.
Thank you, and how are we all doing?
We are doing well, and I would dare say you've got to be doing well after that victory on Saturday night.
Yeah, you know, it's a picker-upper.
Yeah. What does .029 feel like from the driver's cockpit? Did you know you had them, or did you have to wait a little bit?
Well, you never know on them racetracks where that line goes across.
That's
so
true.
You'll always question, where anything is. But I knew I had them by about a wheel, and that's about what it showed.
Brian, in victory lane, you said that you tried not to dirty him up too much in 3 and 4. Describe where that line is for you as a driver. What is dirtying him up too far, and how you make those decisions. In hundreds to thousands of a second entering that corner.
Lincoln it. I just didn't want. There's a lot of different ways that you could have dirtied him up. Where, you could have run through the middle, and that would have took a chance with him trying to pull a slider because he thought you were going to the top, and then we run into each other, or if I sort of run the middle and then slide up in front of him. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and I tried to suck the bottom up there, and then just let it slide up a little bit and get him up there in that dirty stuff that I knew was awful for.
Yeah. That's the thing, because not only do you have to worry about what you're doing when you have a scenario like this, but you've got to kind of speculate or guess what he's doing as well.
Yeah, Lincoln is always easier to run second, just because it just always is. Yeah, you can definitely pick your line to where the other guy doesn't do, but it's still all a bunch of guesswork. And he was way better than me. I can honestly tell you that. He was when I watched him going down the backstretch that time, and his car was just working a lot better than me, so I was just trying to make that thing as wide as we possibly could.
Was he all right with you after the race, or did he come over and chat, or any comments?
Yeah, he's a good kid. He's going to be good, and he was happy. They were happy to run second, and honestly, to come from 7th on the way the track was, he was pretty good. There wasn't. They said there was a whole lot of passing going on, but they might have just been swapping back and forth. I don't think anybody really was that much faster than anybody else there on Saturday night. It was just more of a track position type thing.
Been a rough start to the season from a rain standpoint, and from a races being canceled. Williams Grove has struggled. Obviously, Lincoln has struggled. We've talked about that along the way. How tough is it for you guys as you race up there to kind of? How important is it to be in a rhythm, and how tough is it when you're not in a rhythm of racing on a regular basis?
Yeah, it's always frustrating when you're not in a rhythm, because you just want to basically go out and practice a race as much as you can to try to figure out wherever your issues lie, but. The problem that we are going to run into Central PA here is there's a lot of big shows coming up, and normally we have, a good half dozen to a dozen races in by now, and it ain't going to happen. And the weather pattern doesn't look like it's going to change up here, so we're going to run into big races with not a whole lot of seat time.
Brian, going back to your race on Saturday night, it was your 54th career win at Lincoln Speedway. What makes Lincoln suit your driving style so well?
It's just little and racy. Yeah, I love the little racy tracks versus the half miles where you're just out there just trying to make time up. And I just love the little racy bull rings.
Mm-hmm.
Chatting with Brian Monteith, the Edge here on MRN Wing Nation. Brian, as we look at it, your program for this year, of course, Jerry Parrish, the premier racing team. Did you make many changes during the off season, or is everything people-wise, parts-wise, cars-wise, everything pretty much the same as you roll into this year?
Yeah, I mean, everything is pretty much the same. It's been the same, I guess, for the last couple of years, and we're trying to go back through a couple of notes, and that's what sort of helps us out, that I've been with the guys for 13, 14 years. We have a lot of notes in the book to try to go back, and we struggled last year. We weren't real happy with last year or the year before that, and hopefully, Scott and the boys did a lot of homework this past week, to try to get the car back to where I'm feeling comfortable, and hopefully we're in the right direction.
Brian, you mentioned a bunch of big shows coming up, but what's the schedule look like for this year? Is it similar to previous years or anything different?
Yeah, no, we're just going to run the standard deal, just the Friday night at the Grove and Saturday at Lincoln, and then we're going to run them specials, Susky shows or whatever on Sundays. We might travel to Port. I don't want to put it out there a bunch yet because people will jump all over me on the internet. But so I mean, it's not ruled out if we're going well. If we ain't going well, and we're still struggling, then it's just easier for them guys to drop me off at Lincoln, and we can figure more out there because I can run that place with my eyes closed.
So you mean the folks in Pennsylvania would jump all over you on the internet or anything like that? They have a little fire for you up there?
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, I'm totally loved everywhere.
Yes.
I mean, up here. So my porch is my porch, and sometimes people just don't like my porch, but that's okay because I built it, so it's okay.
I like it. I built it.
Yeah.
Now that's strong right there. Dude, that's real strong. I built the porch, and I like it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good stuff. That really is. Wow, that is cool. That is cool. So this weekend is this? So this weekend you start with 3 race in theory with weather cooperating.
Yeah.
I think this is your first 3 race weekend, correct?
Yes, I do believe. I mean, we're definitely gonna run Susky on Sunday, and I don't even know if Friday night even looks a little sketchy again because of weather, but hopefully we can get at least 2 in.
Well, exactly. Hopefully that is the case. That's for sure. I'll tell you, it's good stuff. I know that we joked around about the internet and everything like that, but I am probably confident that the infield at Lincoln was very satisfied on Saturday night. And and I don't know if Big Matt was there or over in Susquehanna, but you made Beer Hill Gang proud, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, Big Matt was there in Victory Lane. I seen him, and Stewie texted me on the way home when I was driving home. So yeah, I love them Beer Hill guys, man. They're a good bunch of people.
They are a great bunch of people. You're absolutely right. They're good folks. That's for sure. Brian, congratulations on the win on Saturday night. We appreciate the time, continued success, and I know the way you drive that car. We'll talk to you on the road. But thanks for joining us here today.
Absolutely. You guys have a fantastic day.
We will.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That's the Edge.
Yeah.
Brian Monteith. I think the Edge is on the chip today.
Yeah, very positive.
Very
I like that.
positive and fired up and ready to go. He got the win. He got the big lift from Matt in Victory Lane. He got a text from Stewie. I mean,
3 races on tap.
3 races on
Weather
tap this
pending.
weekend, weather pending. When I saw you just automatically, as you follow along on the world, and where was that, Martinsville?
Yep.
Okay, I forget where I'm at all the time. And you're sitting there, and I had the basketball game on, I had the Twitter machine on, I had all of the stuff going on, and then you see Brian Monteith wins Lincoln, and you know that the infield area, which is Beer Hill and Lincoln, I know Beer Hill is turn 3 in Williams Grove, but you just know that the chaos that instantly took place there was unreal, and that is what is so sweet about Central Pennsylvania and the Beer Hill Gang and their guy. Monteith is their guy.
Oh yeah.
There is no denying Monteith is their guy, and I love his talk about going to Port because he is right. Those little bull rings, man, nobody does them. But there have been times at Port where he just hangs that thing on the rail and like nobody else because fear is not part of his life.
Never.
There's no scare. The Edge is the perfect nickname. So great stuff. We appreciate hearing from Brian Monteith. We need to step away. When we come back, we're going to talk more sprint car racing. Doug Auld joins us from Sprint Car and Midget Magazine.
Hi, I'm Craig Kinzer, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
For over 50 years, drivers in sprint car, midget, micro, modified, and even dirt late model have taken the checkered flag on Weld Racing Wheels. Legendary drivers like Joe Saldana, Carl, Mark, and Steve Kinzer, Doug Wolfgang, and countless other racers have trusted Weld Racing Wheels for their superior strength and lightweight construction to finish ahead of the competition. With 50 years of race-winning engineering and technology, American-made Weld Racing Wheels are designed and built to withstand virtually any abuse you throw at them. Weld Racing, proven speed.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility when you replace your worn wiper blades with Bosch Pure Vision wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts and get a $10 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. Get premium wiper blades that ensure clear vision in any weather with Bosch Pure Vision wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Backley. Join me every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. This one-hour interactive show takes you beyond the typical storylines in NASCAR with the stars of the sport.
The celebration's been fun. I mean, afterwards, I guess I didn't leave the track until like 1:30, so I caught up with my crew in South Beach.
NASCAR Live also gives you in-depth analysis with MRN's top personalities.
Because for me, the decisive moment of this championship was when...
Check it out, NASCAR Live, this Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
Hi, I'm Casey Kane. Now back to Wing Nation.
Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength. We are glad you joined us. Let's go back to the guest line. He is the editor of Sprint Car and Midget Magazine, that magazine that stops my world when it arrives at the mailbox, and I have to go through it, find out what's going on in the sprint car world. Doug Auld joins us. Hello, Doug. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, it's great to be back. Thanks, Steve, and good to see you, hear from you and Erin, and good to be here.
Great to chat with you. Doug, we're at a weird spot in the season. We're at the spot of the season where we have part of the sprint car world's been real active. World of Outlaws have been good. They've got the majority of their shows in. But then we just talked to Brian Monteith in Pennsylvania, where they've had the majority of their shows rained out. Just kind of 6, 7, 8, 10 weeks into the season, what's your assessment so far of what we've seen across the sprint car world?
Well, yeah, like you said, Pennsylvania's really been battling the weather, and but they're up and going now. They kind of have that fight up there every year to see who can have the first show of the season, and everyone sits out there in the cold. They're dedicated fans, very dedicated. But, yeah, I mean, we're seeing some, I think it's going to be, looks like a good year for David Gravel. Obviously, Donnie Schatz, 6 of the first 8 World of Outlaws shows, 3 of the 5 first All-Star shows. Donnie Schatz, and it's an amazing time to watch him. ASCS series, you're seeing Sam Hafertepe, last year's champion, come back and sweep the first 2 events at Devil's Bowl. No major surprises. The guys who are good are winning. And Donnie Schatz, I'll tell you, I actually just did a column on this because I may be one of those guys that everybody likes to see the underdog win. You know what it's like out at Knoxville. Years ago, we had the anybody but Kinzer crowd. Now it's the anybody but Schatz crowd. I love watching a guy that's as good as Donnie Schatz win. And I know I'm in the minority here, but I want to see the best guy win, and I want to see moves I've never seen before. And Donnie's that guy where you can sit there and kind of with your mouth open and say, look what he just did. That was amazing, and I got to see it. So a lot of people are, I've heard a lot of grumblings. Actually, just did a column on it about people saying, oh, here we go with the Donnie Schatz, sweep season again. But I think it's great. I think we were lucky to get to see Steve Kinzer in his prime, and we're lucky now to get to see Donnie Schatz in his prime.
Doug, speaking of your column, I loved your column in last month's edition of Sprint Car and Midget Magazine. There was a few things that caught my attention. You talked about how the crew members don't get enough credit, how it's a love of passion that what they do. And you talked about like scrubbing oil off the body panels at the car wash in the middle of the night and bumping your head on the top wing when 10 times a night. And it brought back some of the things that I actually miss. When you're doing it, sometimes you're scrubbing those body panels and miserable. But it was wonderful to bring me back to being on the road. What made you decide to write that column?
Well, it's kind of been coming for years. One of the things, especially as a photographer, which is part of what I do, is what happens at the end of the night is you take all those pictures with the trophy, and the last picture, kind of everybody says, all right, everybody out but the driver, and that's the one that runs, And so when you pick up most of the publications or on websites or what have you, it's always the driver gets the credit, but you know very well. And, yeah, you and I go way back to the days when you and Mike Woodring were towing around, and it was you and Mike, I'm sure, at 3 in the morning at the car wash, banging your head on the wing. And
Yep. I think I still have a permanent scar back there.
Yes. But it is. It's, you know, everybody. And you notice the best drivers. You notice guys like we just mentioned, Donnie Schatz, obviously one of the best sprint car drivers in the world, is consistently in his interviews, you know, thanking not just Ricky Warner, but the entire crew and giving credit that it's a crew effort. As you know, you know, it is. It's a team effort, not just one guy. At the end of the day, one guy straps in and goes out there. Yeah, but that car that's been prepared for all those hours going into that's a whole crew. And, yeah, those guys really don't get the credit that they deserve most of the time.
Doug, I kind of want to go chatting a little, for lack of a better phrase, inside baseball, talking about the world that you're in, Sprint Car and Midget Magazine. I am a huge fan of racing trade papers, okay? I grew up, I wrote for Gator Racing News. Yeah. I love Area Auto Racing News. But the reality of 2017 is that there's one racing trade paper left that's a weekly, I think, in the country is Area Auto Racing News. When you look at magazines, there's been so many magazines across time, but a lot of times they fail because we're in such an era. How challenging is it to keep that magazine so that guys like Steve Post run to that mailbox, and when it comes out, we can't wait to see it? Because in most cases, we've got our news at 2 o'clock the next morning or the first thing in the next morning. How challenging is it to put out a monthly publication as you guys do so well?
Oh, well, first off, thank you for the compliments. But number one, we try to concentrate on areas that the internet doesn't do. The immediate results, things like that. Obviously, going back to Open Wheel years ago, I mean, when you know, in August the Knoxville Nationals would happen, and the coverage would come out in late October or November, and really everybody was okay with that because there was no internet.
Yeah.
So things have changed. But from the inception of Sprint Car and Midget magazine, the internet has been there and social media has been there. So we've geared to most of the content you find in our publication you can't get. One of the things that's really helped us is that we do have an older demographic, especially among people who are, you know, car owners. You know, a lot of times the 17-year-old driver mainly concentrates on social media, but his dad, who actually owns the car, or his car owner, or grandfather, they grew up with publications. So, you know, the best-kept secret of the world, unfortunately, is that we've got a huge readership, and our biggest fight is perception. Obviously, people are tuning into Wing Nation and following you guys on social media. They're following all these other media outlets on social media, and that's great. But we kind of get lost in the mix a lot of the times that our readership really hasn't fallen off. And we've got all these thousands of readers, and yet I think sometimes we get caught up in the perception, well, it's all digital these days, and it's not. Now, the racing publication you mentioned is Area Auto Racing News, and boy, Lenny Salmons does a great job, and they put together a great paper up there in the Northeast, and Gator, another one, it was sorry to see them go. Their situation actually was a situation with their printer that fell off, and it was sad to see them go. But for all those years, they actually had 2 weekly racing papers up in the Northeast, which was, I'm sure for guys like you, and I grew up in the Northeast too, that was a real treat to have that all those years. You had a choice between the two, and most of us got both. So.
That's right. That's right. It's amazing. It really is, and it's just a real testament to hard work and creating those stories that are not timely as far as that race on that Saturday night, but are stories and thinking ahead and across the board. Speaking of thinking ahead, next edition. What's all in the next issue coming out that folks can get their hands on?
Well, our last one that's just arrived to subscribers, unfortunately, we had Ralph Capitani on the cover, and what a huge loss to the sport. And we've just lost. You know, it's the dark side of the sport. We've lost too many good people for various reasons, just losing Lanny Edwards, another great promoter. We lost Ralph Capitani, you know, and not going back too far, you know, we lost Earl Baltus not too long ago. Those are 3 of the biggest promoters in the history of sprint car racing, really. And so, unfortunately, Ralph was our cover, but we have our USAC season preview in there. We are. You know, we do event coverage, but what we try to do is get the things that you didn't necessarily delve into on first look on the things you can get on the internet or what have you. So we do have our Florida Winter Nationals coverage in that issue. You know, our Racer on Racer piece is the best of time, our fiction story. We're also doing a year-long series with the World of Outlaws, which is kind of interesting, the evolution of them throughout their this is actually their 40th season. And so, you know, we're tracking from the first race at Devil's Bowl in 1978 all the way through in a 12-part series that Dave Argabright's doing. So it's a really good read as well.
It is. That World of Outlaw stuff from the first one has just been really good, and really everything on there. The Racer on Racer is one of my favorite. Some of the guys that I don't know either name as being the newbie in the sport, and then there's other ones where I know and I respect it. Doug, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Continued success. Keep up the good work. And folks, make sure, hey, go subscribe to this magazine because it is stuff that you're not reading elsewhere. But Doug, thanks for joining us here.
Oh, I appreciate it. Anytime you guys want me on, I'm here for you because I love what you're doing. You guys do a great job with Wing Nation. As you do too, as well. That is Doug Auld. He is the editor of Sprint Car and Midget Magazine. Great publication. Love to have you get that and do the same thing that I do. I mean, I can't wait for that thing to arrive, and when it does, it's must see reading. That's for sure. Let's step away. We'll be back with more MRN Wing Nation in just a moment.
I'm Danny Holcraver, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag, fanwear to quick crew wear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink, at the track and on your back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Kerry Madsen, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Thank you, Kerry. Welcome back. It is MRN Wing Nation presented by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength every time during the show or every week during the show. We love to talk about the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum and just the great place that is out there. Turn number 2 at the Knoxville Speedway. SprintCarStuff.com for the greatest. That's the greatest gift shop in racing for
really
sprint car fans. Sprint car racing. What is it? No, SprintCarStuff.com.
Yep.
SprintCarStuff.com. Let's look at the birthday calendar and really want to go to yesterday. Would have been the birthday of Greg Weld. Greg is a Sprint Car Hall of Fame class of 1998. At age 23 years old in 1963, he went and won that little Knoxville Nationals. And he had a lot of success. He was the 1967 Sprint Car champ in USAC, won more than 100 sprint car races. But really, when we think of Weld Wheel Industries, he founded, now Weld Racing, custom wheels. They started making them for sprint cars, very active with sprint cars and with drag racing as well. And so Greg Weld, no longer with us, but a great part of sprint car racing, and his story can be found in turn number 2 at Knoxville at the Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Coming up later this weekend here on MRN, it's the MRN Wing Nation Weekend presented by Hepner Racing Products. We mentioned it earlier, Justin Henderson going to join us. And on Saturday, MRN Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV. Kyle Larson in studio. That guy that's having a little success on NASCAR.
Just a little bit.
Little success on NASCAR. But we'll talk a little bit about NASCAR with him, but we're going to talk more sprint car racing with him because we're Wing Nation.
Yeah,
exactly.
Of course. That's what we
probably
want
have to ask about that day job, don't we, though?
Yeah.
When the day job is going well and you're ranked number 1, you probably need to ask about it, don't we?
Yeah, it's a polite thing to do.
It's the polite thing to do, and we certainly want to be polite. So Ashley Stremme and I will do that as well. It is going to be a big weekend. We'll be on Facebook at facebook.com/WingNation, as well as on Twitter at Wing Nation. Appreciate Brian Monteith and Doug Auld for joining us, but more important than all of that, thank you for joining us here today.
You've been listening to Winged Nation, presented by Hercules Tire. Ride on our strength. You can also find Winged Nation on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, and in the MRN.com Media Center. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.